The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. At that time, when Jesus came to the other side of the sea, to the country of the Gadarenes, two demoniacs met him coming out of the tombs, so fierce that no one could pass that way. And behold, they cried out, "What have you to do with us, Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time?" Now a herd of many swine was feeding at some distance from them, and the demons begged him, "If you cast us out, send us away into the herd of swine." And he said to them, "Go." So they came out and went into the swine, and behold, the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the sea and perished in the waters. The herdsmen fled, and going into the city they told everything and what had happened to the demoniacs. And behold, all the city came out to meet Jesus, and when they saw him, they begged him to leave their neighborhood. The Gospel of the Lord. Isn't it crazy that the thing that they were anxious about in this episode is that these men were possessed? Well, we don't know if they were men, but they were demoniacs, and that no one could go near them. So there was a part of the area of their place of living that they could not enter. Jesus solves that problem. He restores human beings back to full health. Yes, we know the story, the swine, the livelihood of that particular farmer, maybe the trade of the town was a kind of threatened, and so they say, "Go away." What kind of priorities did they have? Their priorities were obviously about the wealth that the swine could bring to the city or the certain individuals. The integrity, the health, and the well-being of two people was not important enough. Our first reading has the same theme of why must we go and offer all these sacrifices, and as we're doing all of this, we are just trampling on the poor for the most part of their life. And a very interesting quote for us in lockdown from J.F. Kennedy. He said, "If a free society cannot help the many who are poor, it cannot save the few who are rich." And I think there's much wisdom in our readings and this quote today. Because yes, the Catholic Church may be seen in the world as the greatest NGO that has helped more poor people than any other institution, but that doesn't mean to say we're perfect or that we've done enough. And one of the wisdoms that we are learning with the coronavirus is that if we do not look after those who cannot afford to survive and to be healthy, then the entire world will collapse. It's quite clear the more and more we read. And that's why, certainly in our government and in other countries, they are trying to provide for the things that the poor cannot provide for themselves because they haven't been able to get to that stage in their lives. And so now we are building these huge field hospitals very quickly. We have feeding programs, economic relief programs. Why could all this not have been done in healthy times? What was the priority? Because now, in a sense, our lack of caring for those who have been marginalized, as Kennedy says, can now overwhelm us, and the world can collapse, as it has in histories before. We are waiting for our second wave. We're now hearing our next 2 months, July and August, are going to be devastating. Maybe we will never see the amount of people dying as we are going to see. Thousands will die. Hospitals will be overflowing. It is a sobering thought, and I'm not sure if it's true, but it would seem to me that if every poor person stood up, those with means would be overwhelmed. And so, if we do not get this balance right, if we do not do what God is asking us to do, and to get our priorities right, that the dignity of the human being is far more important than wealth. If we do not get that right, we are all in trouble. Everyone. And I hope that we are learning, each one of us, in our own little way, in the things that we do from day to day, to have a rethink, because when we have thought it through and it sinks deep as the eternal truth that God has given us, then we will start to act in a different way. We will have a different attitude towards wanting to go on expensive holidays, buy expensive things, because we will automatically want to do what is better for everyone. We will get joy out of that. And that is what Jesus Christ was about. He came into this village. He said, here are two suffering people. How can I help them? And this great lesson of, we don't want you now because you're threatening our pigs. No mention of the greatness that there were two people who were sick and who had now been healed. Let us today and in the weeks ahead gently but seriously think of our priorities and make it happen, that we are looking after the poor, because otherwise we cannot save the rich. Not that that is our aim. Amen.